The Green-Blooded Goddess, Bloody Mary Reimagined. The Bloody Mary is a brunch staple and cocktail and a hangover cure. Its origins and real creator are highly debated. However, Paris is at center stage, and Prohibition and the Russian Revolution are historical references that brought this classic cocktail to existence. The first theory is the Bloody Mary was created at Harry's Bar in 1921, which began in America but was taken apart and shipped to Paris during Prohibition. During the Russian Revolution, many refugees settled in Paris and brought with them their vodka. Harry's bartender, Ferdinand Pitoit, was asked by a member of the Smirnoff family to mix their vodka with tomato juice. Pitoit decided to spice it up by adding cayenne, pepper, Worcestershire, lemon juice, salt, and black pepper, and called it the Bloody Mary. The second theory occurred at the King Cole Bar at the St. Regis Hotel in New York City, or maybe this is more of a refinement of the drink. From a simple tomato juice and vodka to the bloody we're more familiar with today. Ferdinand Pitoit moved to the New York City and named it the Red Snapper in 1934, and to this day, all St. Regis Hotels have their own signature Bloody Mary. And finally, the third theory takes place in Palm Beach, Florida in 1927 by entertainer George Jessel, who needed a pick-me-up after a late-night bender. He was playing softball with his friends, who were also hungover, and asked the bartender to come up with something to cure it. And at this moment, his friend, Mary Brown Warburton, came in and spilled some of the drink on her white dress. She laughed and said, "Now you can call me a Bloody Mary, George." The name is another area of debate about where it came from. The first name referred to the Queen Mary Tudor, who was the Queen of England and Ireland, and got the nickname because of her persecution of approximately 300 Protestants in her attempt to restore Roman Catholicism in England. Another theory regarding the name is from the makers of Tabasco. It still takes place at Harry's Bar, but the name had nothing to do with the Queen. But an American patron happened to be at the bar and said the drink reminded him of a cocktail he had at the Bucket of Blood Club in Chicago. And the lovely lady that was in the club, Mary. And the third name comes from the famous writer Ernest Hemingway, who had been dating someone named Mary and asked for a drink mixed with juice to hide the alcohol. And while drinking it, he kept mumbling Bloody Mary. As a chef, I think it's always worth noting that this drink would have not come about if it wasn't for the juice. So tomato juice was created by Chef Louis Perrin in Indiana's French Lick Springs Hotel in 1917. Additionally, producing canned tomato juice and distributing it worldwide aided in making this classic cocktail that has now taken on so many different variations. The Bloody Mary has truly held its place as a classic celebrated cocktail, and because of its broad appeal, it can be translated into numerous different versions and become the star of the table with its garnish capabilities. Listed below is the classic Bloody Mary recipe, and some of the photos here show, I think when we think of Bloody Marys, you think of travel. Classically, the airport having a Bloody Mary, sitting while you're waiting for your plane. On the plane, tomato juice tends to be something, or a Bloody Mary to make you feel a little bit calmer when you're in the air. Cruises and traveling, that other Bloody Mary on the left is from actually Junior's that we went to in Las Vegas, and it was actually surprisingly good Bloody Mary. Other variations include the Bloody Maria with tequila and tomato sangria, a Bloody Caesar with clamato juice, which is clam juice, Bloody Bulldog or Red Snapper with gin, Bloody Elixir with an Old Bay rim, a combination of olive and pickle brines, and Bunny Mary with carrot juice and aquavit. I think you never can forget about Wisconsin for its towering Bloody Marys with the endless combinations of food garnishes and beer chasers. Here are some of my favorite Bloody Marys that I've enjoyed over the years. I've really been loving this yellow tomato mix from Natural Blonde from Charleston, South Carolina, which is a thinner version of the Bloody Mary. That's the first one in the corner with the bacon garnish. Next to that is a from Mart Ann's in Flagstaff, Arizona. Hands down some of the best like Tex-Mexican food I've ever had. If you've never had a poached egg and a pozole, you need to have that, and their Bloody Mary paired beautifully with it. Down below on the right-hand side with the burger on top is Sobelman's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is very famous for their Wisconsin Bloody Marys, and they always do a Miller High Life Chaser on the side with that as well. To the left of that was inspired we did for Maine Restaurant Week, took that inspiration from Wisconsin and did a lobster roll with Parmesan cheese tater tots and lots of pickled vegetables for our Bloody Mary. And then finally, the picture all the way to the right is Stephanie's on Newberry Street. I have been getting Bloody Marys there since I was in college, and it's a fun little checklist that you can go off and pick it exactly the way you want it, and it's totally customizable, and they've been doing that forever. The green-blooded goddess is my reimagined Bloody Mary, and this idea came about because we were making classic Bloody Marys at our house, and we didn't have any celery to garnish with it. But it was apple season, and we had apples, and so we took the apple and infused it with some apple cider, some Tabasco, some Worcestershire, some horseradish, and then put it in our vacuum chamber sealer and let that sit for about 30 minutes. When we took them out, I could not believe how much the apples took on the Bloody Mary flavor and how deliciously crisp they still were. So this got me, when we got this project, got me thinking about this idea of what if I combine my love for green juices with a Bloody Mary. Professor Wolf gave me some really good advice in saying that he thought, a green juice is notoriously thin, and so I'm going to mix the body that the tomato juice gives. And he had said that he had seen one recently that thought was doing really well was a roasted red pepper. So that got me thinking about colors, and so I started to think about yellow peppers and yellow beets, and they have sweetness, and I thought, well, that could be added into my green juice to give it the body of a Bloody Mary. I have to say, it came out really delicious. I was kind of surprised at how good it tasted. You can see from there, I've got two different versions there. One's a little bit more bright green. The one to me was a little chartreuse. I almost thought it looked like bile. I was thinking, oh gosh, what have I created here? But I ended up adding more, cut back on the celery, added more apple and spinach, and I got that bright green, which I really love in a green juice. The roasted red pepper and the yellow beet, I put that in a Vitamix, got that very pureed smooth, and that's the bowl sitting there on that cutting board, and that was able to shake that up and add right into that, and it's delicious. I've had friends who actually want me to make it for them when they come to visit for New Year's, and I think I'm going to do it. So this is the green-blooded goddess sort of broken down. I had Grey Goose at my house, so that's the vodka I used, and I think any vodka would obviously work with this. I actually think it would also work really well with tequila, but I wanted to keep it in that vodka category with going with sort of more of a classic Bloody Mary. The sweetness from the roast and the golden beets and the fresh apple juice, the sugar and the rimmer, the acidity comes from the green apple, the lemon juice, and the lime juice. The body and the texture, really, it's that roasted yellow pepper and golden beet that blended with that Vitamix on that high speed, so it gets super smooth, gave it such beautiful depth of flavor with the roasting, but then also just that consistency that you compared it to a tomato juice, which really needed, the green juice needed that. Which component serves as modifiers, adding depth, contrast, or aromatics? The celery juice, the cucumber juice, and the spinach primarily for the green color. The Chihuahua hot sauce for got that jalapeno and poblano, which kind of lended it into, it tasted a little bit more like a South Mex Bloody Mary. I actually had a couple chefs who happened to stop by over, and they both thought that tomatillos and poblanos, they said like a sofrito, it tasted in that thing, which I thought was really interesting because those ingredients were not in there. The garnish with the pickled cornichon, a pearl onion, olive, and peppercini, we get a little bit of that spice and that acidity thing. Also, I always love fresh citrus, so adding more citrus into that, and then that macerated apple slice that I talked about, that it is shocking how much that apple just infuses with the Bloody Mary flavors, and then the spice that it gives it. And then rimmers, I think, have become very popular with Bloody Marys because, again, they add that little bit of salt, that little bit of spice, yet another texture level. So that really is all the components that makes it work so well. So for menu strategy, I definitely see this landing in, obviously, clearly for brunch, but it could be all-day options for brasseries, bistros, sort of luxe hotels and country clubs. I'm saying that more because I think this juice needs to be blended to order. I don't think juices are great if you do them too far ahead. So I think it's going to drive guest interest by its color, because it's health conscious, and also because it provides a non-alcoholic option. You can have this green juice on its own. It's going to be absolutely delicious. I think it honors the original identity with the name, the mouthfeel, and the garnishes that reflect the classic Bloody Mary. I do think it might have a better sales maybe in sort of a Southwest area, or if you did have this like on a cruise line, like a high-end cruise line, if you were, pairing it towards South America or something in that region, or Mexico, I think that would work really well. For my menu listing, I said a fresh pressed green juice accented by roasted golden beet and yellow pepper, garnished with horseradish, hot sauce, and worcestershire-infused apple slice and spicy rimmer. I did show the premium vodka and the regular there, because I think from a standpoint of using a POS system, when you have that premium vodka like upscale, that you show it there, but then it also would list those the well vodka, so it makes that price zone a little bit more attractive to people, and then it gives you the opportunity for upselling. I don't know if it's just because it is around Christmas time, but all of a sudden I thought about what a great thing, or actually because our inn used to be super busy in December because they had this thing called Christmas Prelude, and I started thinking about at our restaurant, if I had made this, I would have done a side-by-side tasting and made this like the Grinch and the Claus Bloody Mary, because I think it would be such a fun thing visibly if someone saw it. I totally know that other people would order that, but I just, to play up that seasonal. It also made me think of New Mexico. I just been there for the first time this year, and they have their Christmas plates because of the different chilies, the red and the green chili. So again, playing up on that sort of Southwest flair, I think it would work super well there. The other picture is my green juice that I love to drink at my home, and that I called it the Virtuous Green Juice. I think you absolutely could make this a non-alcoholic option. Green juice is delicious, it's healthy, it's good for you, and the challenge I think would be though is when you add a juice program, you do need to make it to order, and that becomes a time consumption for staffing. Here are the numbers for the classic Bloody Mary, and this is the numbers for the green blooded goddess. Obviously that's going to cost more. The garnish has got more entailed into it, and then also obviously adding all the ingredients. But I still think it's super sellable and really seasonal, and I had a ton of fun with this project, making it, creating it. It honed into what I love about our industry, the hospitality industry, and that creation and that creative process. So thank you so much, and I'll see you on the other side.